Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Lowdown Culture Cast. I'm Traven Rice, and we're here at P&T Knitwear in the podcast studio talking to all different kinds of downtown culture changers, particularly arts and culture. But I'm interested in speaking to all different, definitions of what that might be. And I'm very delighted to have with me today Claire Ayoub, who is a writer, director, and performer on a mission to create entertaining, educational, and empowering stories through her production company, Try Anyway Productions. Claire launched her career in the New York City comedy scene as a member of the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, where she wrote, directed, and performed both sketch comedy and storytelling shows. Claire's the writer-director of the upcoming feature film Empire Waiste, a heartfelt dramedy about teens learning to love their bodies through fashion design. The script was named the #1 comedy on the Blacklist and selected for both the Blacklist Feature Lab and Cassian Elwes Independent Screenwriting Fellowship at Sundance. The film has since won Best Empowerment Film and Best Social Impact Film at Sedona International Film Festival, Wavemaker Award, Best Future Wave Feature, and Best Feature at the Coney Island Film Festival. Claire's also the creator of The Gyno Kid, an award-winning solo comedy show about growing up as the child of a small-town gynecologist that encourages audience to laugh and learn about their bodies. Open Wide, her TV pilot version of The Gyno Kid, was named a finalist for the 2023 Page Awards, and Claire has also written for Amy Poehler's Smart Girls and is the creator behind 2 web series, a series of comebacks, and Your Hair Looks Great Today. Thank you for being with us.
Traven, I was so excited to hang out with you today and to hear you read all these nice things that I know happened, but when you're like deep in a project and you're like, I'm so tired, you're like, oh, that's why I'm tired. I've done a lot. But I love all those projects, so hearing them through just makes me feel very happy.
Those are not small things. And I just want to say, I was lucky enough to see some of your script workshopping, in the days of like reworking the script a few years ago, I would say.
I think that was 2020. It was right before pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And honestly, and I talk about this all the time, community is so key to this film and it being not only made, because I did 17 live readings across the country to like workshop the script, but also leaning on my fellow filmmakers and writers, as well as, teachers, as well as people involved in the world of this film was really important. But Film Shop, where we met, was just such an affirming place, and a place where I was not only working on my project, but we're surrounded by other creators in New York who are trying to make their dreams happen while also juggling, those multiple full-time jobs.
But I'm also just so impressed because, so it was really fun to see it from that stage. And I know you'd been working on it before that for a really long time. So we saw it to that stage, and the film is out now.
Yeah.
And I was also lucky enough to see it at a screening here in New York a couple of weeks ago. And I have to tell you, it's a beautiful, beautiful, inspiring story. So brave, so important. And I was really, really touched by it.
Thank you.
So can you tell us about the story and a little bit about the origin of
Absolutely. So Empire Waiste is the movie I wish I had as a kid, struggling with my own body image issues. And to be clear, it's a comedy. It is very funny because I'd seen so many movies that were about body image that were just really sad, and they made me sad, or they're always about weight loss or something, or a makeover or something like that. And what happened was I had the idea to write a film about a girl who could make herself whatever she wants to wear but doesn't feel worthy to wear it. And that idea came from a column I wrote for Amy Poehler's Smart Girls called Notes to My 12-Year-Old Self. And I started writing for them in 2013. And I wrote about, not raising your hand in class, how to pick up the phone and invite your friends over instead of waiting for people to ask you to hang out, all these little things to my 12-year-old self who had been really struggling with self-confidence. And it took me 2 years to write about body image, even though that's how they discovered me, was through my writing about body image on Tumblr.
You mean 2 years to write a script about it?
2 years to write a column about it.
Okay.
Because it was such a big platform, and it was so scary to be that vulnerable about body image in this column. But 2 years in, I wrote a letter to my 12-year-old self called Take the Plunge, and it was about how I quit swimming when I was 12. how I gained weight during puberty. I was always a bigger person, and I could not make that 20-foot walk from the locker room to the pool. And so I quit doing what I loved. And the letter to my 12-year-old self was basically me begging her not to quit and saying that when we stop showing up, or when we try to make ourselves small physically, we stop showing up in the rest of our life, right? We stop raising our hand in class. We stop thinking we're worthy of jobs, of love, of taking up space in general, right? And so the inspiration for that was that at 25, when I wrote it, I was going back in the pool. I was finally getting back in the pool. I was living in my hometown. I was about to move to LA, where I would eventually write the script. And I basically was like, if I'm telling my younger self to do it, I have to do it. And so I made that walk from the locker room to the pool. I didn't have a towel on me. I just really felt in my body. I looked at my legs and was like reprogramming as I was going. Like, instead of like, oh, disgusting, da-da-da-da, I was like, these legs are so strong. They've helped my friends move out of so many apartments, right? Like my belly is where my belly laughs live. My arms give the best hugs. And then I jumped in the pool and I felt like I was home. Like, it just was so beautiful. And a lot of body image and a lot of this is like almost grieving the years and decades you lost because you didn't feel like, whether self-confidence or body, that you felt worthy. So I wrote this letter to my younger self. I was so terrified. And the response to it is why I wrote Empire Waste, because I had hundreds of people reply from across the country and around the world, majority women, but not all, and that were sharing what they had quit because of their own body image struggles at that age. A lot of people was related to sports as well. It was like running, volleyball, because they didn't want to wear those shorts, or they hadn't worn shorts, period, since they were 10, because they were like afraid of their thighs or self-conscious. And everyone, I just looked around and I felt this grief for us because we all felt so alone in this moment, but we weren't, right? And so Empire Waste came from that. It came from, what if you could make yourself whatever you wanted to wear, but didn't feel worthy to wear it? And so this movie was for all of us. And that's why I say it was really rooted in community building, because basically when I wrote the script, I wanted to make sure, I knew my own personal story, but I wanted to make sure it reflected other stories, that it felt that like a communal space of friendship and joy, but also like didn't shy away from the real stuff. And the core of the movie is a friendship love story, because so often our friends see us as we truly are. So it's basically about a girl named Lenore Miller, who is incredibly shy, very low self-confidence. She's a plus-size girl who basically wears all black to school, tries to be a human shadow. And we realize that at school she's sketching, and then she gets home and makes beautiful clothes but never wears them. They just stay in her closet. And then a girl at school she's paired with named Kayla is like fat, fabulous, very comfortable in her own skin. And she basically discovers Lenore's clothes in the closet and begs her to make her one dress. And it launches this friendship love story. But it's really about Lenore stepping outside of her safe place of hiding, right? And it puts herself out there, as well as Kayla taking up space unapologetically. And this character also goes through her own, struggles, because that was the important part of it. And what I got from those 17 live readings across the country, what resonated, which, oh my God, I'm still tired. It was so worth it, but I'm still tired. A bunch of them were in New York, which I just loved. But, it was really people being grateful that body image wasn't being portrayed as like a light switch. Like self-confidence wasn't just like, and now I love myself forever. And I had offers to buy the script. It did really well on the Blacklist, which is an incredible resource that basically pairs unproduced screenplays with producers, directors, agents. That's how I found my lawyer,
But how long so this process has really been
since I wrote the script in 2015.
The first
draft. I basically ripped out all of my trauma in a month. Don't do that. It was really, for my writers out there, don't do that. Take care of yourself. I ripped out all the drama. And so I wrote the script in a month, gave it to them, and their response was, oh my God, we loved it. Female empowerment is so in right now. But there are too many women in this movie.
Oh, no.
Not enough men, and I can't imagine Miss Hall being a woman. She's way too funny. Yeah. And so and people who've seen the movie know, like, those are all strengths, and that's a big part of it. And a big part of this, and why I try to do things a little bit differently, is that I was 26 when I got this information and was told this is fact.
But wait, who told you that?
These were my managers at the time.
That was their opinion.
That was their opinion.
Script.
And so what was hard was that at 26, they were my authority figure, right? They knew the industry. And so what happened next was I knew in my gut they were wrong, but I didn't know I didn't feel I had the worthiness or experience to say it. I was like looking around at this fancy office with bottled water and valet parking. And I was like, well, they have this roster. They're the best, right? And they were a really well-regarded agency. And to be fair, I know they were just regurgitating what they had been told was what sells. But I knew in my gut they were wrong. And this is why I mentor people younger than me and people of all ages in the industry who are also like navigating the capital I industry part of it is, we know our world best, or it's always important to get feedback. It's always important to see things differently and get a full picture. But if someone tells you that this is the only way something can be done, I really encourage you to ask questions.
So you were told it's no good, but you brought it back out.
Yep.
And then you felt like, no, it is. And so you decided to move forward with it anyway, basically on your own, but workshopping it yourself.
Yeah.
But submitting it to different contests. Yeah. And that's where it got some traction.
Yeah. So it basically started February 2019. I had to set a deadline for myself because I was like, I should start working on it. And I didn't touch it because how many of us have so many things we're doing any given day? And I was like, I'm going to host a live reading on Galentine's Day. 2019, I had an office that had a library space in it. It was a nonprofit. And I basically was like, I set a deadline for myself that was like, no matter how far this revision is, you have to do a live reading to see how far it is. That live reading was so scary because it was my first time hearing it out loud in 4 years. And even though it was 20 people in the room, I was related to or lived with half of them. But still, I was so scared. But that live reading was when I realized I had to move forward with making this project because
it was a positive response.
It was a positive response. And more than that, people came up to me to say they saw themselves in these characters. Mm-hmm. It would have meant so much to see this. And that feedback for the next 10 months of development and why I ended up beyond the positive industry response. It was just this need of meeting my audience first, realizing that they needed this story, that they needed it for their inner child, they needed it for their nieces, nephews. It really crossed. What was really cool about doing all these tests is I realized it wasn't just a movie for teen girls. Mm-hmm. It was really across genders. It was really across backgrounds. It was really about not feeling worthy in your body or in your position to follow your dreams. Mm-hmm. And how wrong that is, and how important friends are and a supportive family is, and how pushing yourself out of your comfort zone can reap such incredible life lessons, and also realize how worthy you are, realize mm-hmm. how far you have to go.
Yeah, so these sound like sort of themes that we can all get behind.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
As human beings, obviously. I mean, to me, it sounds quite obvious, but I'm sure there was pushback along the way. I mean, you started out with pushback.
Oh, yeah.
Along the way, what kind of pushback did you get?
So I had a lot of interest in the script, but I made the decision to direct the project. I basically did due diligence instead of just being I'm directing. I had gone through a massive layoff, 2 in a year. It was beautiful New York. And so I had an option to either the script had been doing really well in the blacklist. After 2 live readings, I was like, okay, I need to get feedback from people who aren't me. And it was doing really, really well. There was a lot of interest. I did the due diligence because I wanted to learn how to make a feature. I had never done that before. And my first feature, Traven, was a teen fashion ensemble comedy.
Yeah, it's no joke. It's not a small little film.
It's a big, and so that was going to be a big undertaking. And the thing to know about the industry is they do not like risks, right? So even if they were willing to take a risk on a good script with not newer, I was doing this for 10 years, but on a less known writer, if the script is good, they could bring in a huge director to make it financially viable, right? But when I basically would reply to those contacts from the blacklist being like, we love the script, we're interested, is it for sale? And I was like, yes, it is, but I'm the director. They were like, crickets. Right? So a big part of that was just the support of my community, but I had to bet on myself, right? we really, and that is a mantra that my friend Zaki told me early on. He's like, I'm so proud of you for betting on yourself. And so I just kept saying it when I was feeling low. And there were times during this where I was like, it would have been so much easier if I had sold the script. But if I had, I knew this industry. And I knew it could have been smoothed out and we would have lost the tough stuff that is what's made it an award-winning film that resonates. Because it really turns over those rocks to show the sides of ourselves, but it uses comedy. And this is what's really important for me. For comedy, I use comedy to let my audience relax instead of dragging them through tense beat after tense beat after tense beat.
So do you feel that was sort of the thing that was tugging at you, was like, I know that if I don't direct this, that stuff isn't going to be in there? And like, what was that?
Definitely,
was that tugging you?
That was a big part of it. The other part was having gone through, I'm going to be very honest, the emotional trauma of writing it. Like I basically put it away for 4 years and like went to therapy, right? Because I needed to be able to be the foundation for my cast and my crew. Because you have to remember, it's not just the cast saying the word, it's the crew listening to these words over and over, right? Think of the sound guy, her sound person who hears everything, right? Has to hear these lines over and over. I wanted to make sure that my cast and crew felt safe to tell this story, that they weren't going to harm themselves like I had done in the beginning, because I didn't know how to handle this with grace and care and caution. I thought that I had to rip this out of my body for my art to get a paycheck, when in reality, a lot of my advice these days is, if your project is harming you, it's okay to take a step away. In fact, take a step away, right? Unpack that, because no matter how much people say, it's going to be a huge success, and that's what I was told in the beginning. Like, they knew it was a winner, even if their feedback was off the mark. And everyone knew it was going to be, a film that resonated, and it was done really differently, and it's my voice and style, which is weird and wonderful. But I also told the story with such care and got so much great feedback, right, to make it feel like a timeless story, that it crossed generations. The live readings resonated with people from 14 to 84. The movie resonated with people from 8 to 94. It crosses generational barriers. So for them, that was a win, right? But what was very important to me was hearing horror stories about movies that I thought were really empowering, and you learn they're a nightmare behind the scenes. So my producer, and this is a big testament to my producer, Crystal Collins, we started working together at the beginning of 2019, and I basically shared with her, I wanted to work with her because I had heard on her features, she had done 2 features so far, they were both micro budget, but she treated her cast and crew like gold. Her reputation was that she made people feel very safe. And I basically met with her and I said, I know your reputation. I don't know how small or huge this is going to be, but I want someone like you behind the scenes to make sure the vision I have and then we had could be done with systemic change behind the scenes, could make sure we hired department heads who believed in the same idea of the set being a safe space, from everyone from a department head to a PA to feel comfortable raising their hand if something was wrong or if they were uncomfortable, making sure everyone was taken care of. Just like I take care of the audience, it was the same thing behind the scenes, as well as, making sure it was a safe space for like LGBTQ plus folks, which it very much was. It was a very safe space.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like multiple ways that you were changing the culture.
It's important, and I'm not the only one doing it.
Speaking about that, that's sort of the big tension in the film. One of the main tensions is the mother-daughter relationship.
Oh, yeah. I have to say, the mom is not my mom. I always have to say this. My mom came to the second live reading, Traven, and she watched from between her hands. Aww. And I looked up and I went, oh, God. And I was doing stage direction, so I couldn't say it. But I was like, Mom, it's not you. It's not you. She's basically my inner critic.
In the film, the character's mother is a workoutaholic.
Yes.
She works out like crazy.
And a workaholic.
In
real estate.
And she's putting a lot of pressure on herself, but also on her daughter about her weight.
Yes.
And so that is something that you didn't shy away from.
No.
And that is something that I think will and can make people squirm. And I'm sure there was pushback. I mean, I want to hear a little more about some of those
Absolutely.
elements.
So that mother-daughter relationship, I say this all the time. This 17 live readings were specifically to get that mom character right. Because early on, and I just have to give Missy Pyle incredible kudos, because she brought such a dimension to that could have been played so one-dimensionally, just like a cold bitch, right? But this is a mother who loves her daughter so much and is so afraid of her being hurt that love is wrapped in fear and it hurts her daughter, right? She's basically telling her daughter, you're not ready to go out there. You have to make yourself physically fit in so you are not going to be judged. When in reality, she's stopping her daughter before she leaves the door to take risks, right? So that was really important to me because on the second live reading, I got feedback, and this will stick with me forever. Someone came up to me afterwards, and I always got audience feedback. That was really important, and I always said thank you, even if I wasn't going to take it. And this person said, oh my God, I loved it. I felt so seen. I have an idea for the mom. I was like, oh yeah, go ahead. She goes, I think it would be really cool if the mom on the way to the fashion show got in a car accident and died. And then the dad got together with the teacher, and like Lenore had a loving home. And I went, oh my God, thank you so much. And then I went, I have so much work to do, right? And this is why testing your characters out is so important, because, and the best advice I got was from Scott Myers, who basically taught me to write every character as if they were the hero of their story, to really make sure they're fully blown, right? They are full dimension, 3-dimensional characters. And so I was like really getting to the root of that, but making sure it felt true without the mom feeling like a cartoon of a villain, right? And what I love is the response in the room where when she says these things to her daughter, people in the audience boo, they gasp, they yell profanities, like, right? Where they feel so angry, but they see the daughter take it as fact. And that was really important to me because oftentimes, right, we talk about how being a parent can be the child's first real bully. And it comes from a place of fear. And that's a big part of the film, is the daughter putting up boundaries, of having the father-daughter relationship where her dad, played by Rainn Wilson, is just really not just, again, 2-dimensionally supportive, but he sees her and he sees what she's capable of, and he tries to make her feel valid in a way that is already hard enough for her to believe with one supportive parent. But there's a great scene in the film where he and Missy Pyle's character really come head to head, because he realizes she's never going to let her daughter exist in her body in a supportive way. And that is devastating to him. And I think that's really important. And what's beautiful about this film, it's already launched so many conversations. And my favorite email I got so far since the rollout has been a mom saying, I didn't realize I had a little bit of that mom in me. Aww. And it was really shocking because I thought I was incredibly supportive, and I realized that there are elements where I do hold my kids back because I'm afraid they're not ready for something, and I have to check that. And what's great is we got funding for an education curriculum that goes along with the film. Procter & Gamble and Gillette Venus funded it. So it's a free curriculum that goes with the movie, vetted information with New York doctors, which I love, who are just the best, plus interviews with our cast. And the first unit is just for adults to unpack their own emotional baggage before they talk to kids, before they talk to their own children or anyone in their life. Because that is the generational trauma we talk about in the movie. And Rachel mentions it, that her mother told her, people judge your body before they judge your body of work. And we see how that has stuck with her. And from every live reading I did, Traven, I had people come up to me who felt safe to share their own moments with their parent. Didn't always have to be a mother. Someone who was in her 70s, has lived a life, said she still remembers her mom giving her skim milk and her sister whole milk when she was like 6. And she's lived a life. She's in her 70s, and she said she saw the movie finally. She came to a live reading, then saw the movie, and she was like, it felt like something in my chest fell into place. Aww. And that's been the coolest, is people saying they walk out of the theater taller because they feel like they're worthy.
And listen, everybody knows, or at least hears about, the challenge of making your first feature. And it's a really hard thing to do regardless of what it is. And I think on top of that, then you added an even more challenging, kind of theme.
Yeah.
And sort of had this, desire to actually change people's minds about things and share this positive message. So I think that's like a really fantastic, amazing accomplishment.
Thank you. One of my favorite comments has been our trailer blew up on TikTok, which was unexpected and wonderful. And someone commented, a lot of people commented that they felt like it's going to heal something in them, which I love because that is what happens, which is so beautiful. But someone commented that he really was judging the people on screen in the beginning. And it forced him by the end of a 2-minute trailer to start combating his own biases against bigger people. And that's what I love, has been just our casting, but also the humanity we bring to all of the characters involved, right?
So it did well in festivals. You've been all around with festivals, and then it was in theaters.
I just got back from screening in Germany at the Schlingel, which is a film festival for kids and families, and it was so fun.
Excellent.
We made a bunch of Germans cry.
So then it was in theaters.
Yes.
And then what's happening next?
So next we are basically on October 26th, we're doing an online event with Kino. We're basically doing a nationwide screening in the US and Canada. And then we are coming out on demand at October 29th, which we're so excited about because a lot of people couldn't make it to the theaters. We were only in there for a week, and the theaters were all over the place. So we're excited to be able to meet people where they are, and for people to throw their own watch parties, to watch it with their friends, with their families, with their communities and loved ones. We have a lot of requests from universities, especially in New York, which I'm so excited about. Like, thanks to the New School, they lent us that space for free. Like, it was incredible. They were like, we're here for you. We love this. We're here. And, a lot of other universities are jumping on, and friends of ours that work there that are like, I want to bring this to my students. So it's really a word of mouth phenomenon, which has been so beautiful. And a lot of educators want to bring us into their schools for their students. So that's what we're very excited for. And what I love about our curriculum is it's available for anybody, anywhere. It's on YouTube and a downloadable PDF. So really eliminating that barrier so that all you have to do is rent the movie, watch the movie, and then use the curriculum. And we're coming out also worldwide through Blue Fox Entertainment on demand, which we're so excited about because I'm getting so many DMs that are like, are you coming to Australia? Are you coming to the UK? And we just have so many, I can't even just say cheerleaders in our corner who found us and saw it or just saw the trailer and are ringing the alarm to make sure people know it exists.
That's great.
Like, community is everything.
Yes.
Including our New York community, who I just loved places.
Well, we're cheering you on.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what happens next. And keep us posted, and we'll put the links for all of this and all the information for people to make sure that they can see it.
I'm glad Film Shop brought us together, Traven.
Me too. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.